All right. So thank you so much for answering these questions. Let's get into it. So why on earth did you join the Fierce Emporium?
It was a surprise choice, to be honest. I wasn't really looking for anything. It was, I was listening to a friend's podcast interview with you, actually. And it kind of was like a bolt out of the blue. And I thought, oh, what is this midlife unstuck? I am stuck. So what's going on? I was going around in circles trying to figure out, what am I doing? What am I not doing? Looking for direction, literally looking for direction. And suddenly this podcast came along, and when I started looking, and the more I looked, the more I liked. And I thought, well, there's nothing really that tells me, that gives me any sort of warning signs or anything. So I thought, keep looking, keep reading, keep going through the pages. And I love the art on it. And I just thought, I do like this. This is different. This, it's not the old stuff. And it kind of, and I kept going around on that theme. And I thought, and then I started talking to you, and I started reading some more, and I started talking to other friends. And it was like, just do it. Just do it. This is different. It's you've done coaching before, you've been a coach. It's just not the same stuff. So let's do it.
Brilliant. And did you have any hesitations? It sounds like you've done lots of research, but did you have any hesitations about it?
Not that I can remember. I think the only thing that I was probably thinking was, it's a lot of money if you don't get anything out of it. Which is, considering coming out of a pandemic, not really having, just about having a job. And it was like, oh, do you want to spend that money? And I was like, you know what? It's only money. So even if it doesn't work, at least you've tried something instead of going around in circles, Brilliant. Which is what I was doing. So I thought, just do it. Just do it.
Superb. And what were some of your personal highlights from your time or the work that you did in the Fierce Emporium?
The superpowers in kryptonite, because you kind of know instinctively what you're good at and what you're not good at, what you kind of think, oh, I should improve in that, or, I shouldn't probably behave like this. But to give it a name and to make it professional enough to be able to use it in CVs and interviews and in your personal profiles, you kind of gain that level of, it's another level. You can kind of create your own unique selling point, which, for people that are in the market selling stuff is like, oh, what's a USP? And you kind of go, oh, I've got them. I know them. I can actually verbalize them now. The other thing was the sort of what I call the dark night, and people are going to start thinking I'm talking about, superheroes, Marvel and DC, but it's not. It's kind of making peace with the fact that, one, you're not perfect. Two, you can have your bad days, your bad weeks, your bad month, and even your bad year, and you can be a real nasty person when you want to be, and it's fine. It's not, you cannot suppress everything. You cannot pretend it's not there. You cannot think that you're squeaky clean all the time. It's not real. It just doesn't exist. And the other thing that for me was an highlight, and I think I will continue to use it, it's the career sculpture. Because it literally put in front of my face the patterns and where I was going, why I was going from one piece of work to another job, and why did I decide to move, and where was I going. And it was coming, I'm stuck, I'm unstuck, I don't like it, so I go back to there. And it's almost going back to home, when home, it's a place that you don't want to go back to, just because you know that that's your safety net. And then you change job and you think, okay, why am I doing this again? And it's like, okay, this culture actually helps, because it literally puts in front of your face what you've been doing for years without noticing. Because usually you leave a job, or at least what I do is, if I leave a job, clear my head, clear my files, clear my folders, keep what it's useful, and then clear everything and start new. But you don't sit there and consider what went right, what went wrong, what should I stop and continue to do. Yeah. And the career sculpture actually puts it in front of your face.
Fantastic.
So that was brilliant. So those are my sort of highlights, personal sort of highlights
Okay. And are they any different from any of your big takeaways that you're taking into the future with you?
Biggest takeaways, again, superpowers and kryptonite, the experiments, and actually doing those consciously. So yes, you know what you're good at and what you're bad at, but actually consciously choosing one or the other, and then doing these tiny, tiny experiments on a daily basis, whether it's, you know, walking a different way to, or choosing a different supermarket, or talking to a policewoman in the middle of the road before you get on the tram to go back, or, you know, things that you normally would think, oh, just keep your head down, music in and go. Now it's like, just experiment a little, just, you know, just take a different route, maybe go out on your own at 9 o'clock at night when it's dark and take a picture of the moon just because you can. Right. And, you know, it might come out crap, but it doesn't matter. You've tried it. Okay. Next time you'll try again. It'll be different. It's kind of not letting you stop, or not stopping yourself doing things that you might think, oh, you know, I might look stupid doing this. Don't care. Do it.
Love it. Those experiments are brilliant. And I'm still using them years and years and years on. So I'm so glad you're enjoying that. Does your future look or feel any different after having left the Fierce Emporium? It
does. You kind of have a different way of looking at things, and you have a different choice. Instead of going around in circles or doing the same thing you were doing before, you can actually kind of, you almost give yourself permission to do something else. And it might not mean leaving your job now, today or tomorrow. You know, it's not a question of do or die. You know, now that you've done the Emporium, you need to just embrace it and just do it. It's not like that. I don't want to scare anyone to tell them, you know, once you finish, you must. This is, you know, rite of passage. You have to do it. It's like, no, not really. You just kind of consider what you've learned. You consider what you're doing at the moment. You know, you've got a clear head, and you know better what you want to do and what you don't want to do, and the reasons why. Love it. And you've got a few more weapons in your arsenal that you can use. And you kind of, I'm not saying life is perfect, because it's, you know, it's never going to be. But at least at times when you think, what is happening here? You can kind of sit and go, oh, I know, wait, let's go back to my little notes and have a look around and see what I've been doing. And it doesn't happen every day. Sometimes you just go back to your usual way of dealing with stuff. But sometimes you kind of go, hang on a minute, this rings a bell. Let me go and find it. Yeah. And you go and check. And you go through the PDFs and you kind of look at what you've written and you go, oh my God, I have done it again. Or, oh, I've done something different today. Bully for me, I've learned something and it's obviously working. So it just gives you a different way of doing things. It's a choice. It's a different choice. You know, before you knew vanilla and chocolate, now you've got pistachio, and you go, oh, sometimes I can eat pistachio. Not every day, but sometimes it works.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And who else do you think could benefit from joining the Fierce Emporium? Like, what sort of people, in what sort of situations?
I think pretty much anyone that feels a bit restless or a bit stuck, or feels like they're sort of going around in the wheel and the wheel is not going anywhere. It's almost like a hamster that runs miles and it's getting faster and faster, and it's either going to shoot out or it's going to splat onto that wheel. And you think there's got to be something else. If you're starting to think there's got to be something else, or there has to be more, or something different, then do it. It's different. It's, you know, sometimes you go, why am I doing this? It's crazy. Well, what's going on? But do it. It literally is like that Nike advert. Just do it. Try it out. At the end of the day, you might surprise yourself, and you might surprise a heck of a lot of other people around you. And that's never a bad thing.
Love it. And now, our final silly question is, what 3 words would you use to describe either the Fierce Emporium or your time in the Fierce Emporium?
If we're describing the Fierce Emporium, I think we talked about this before. To me, it's everybody talks about transformation, going from A to B, or changing something into something else. To me, the Emporium was more about alchemy, which is using your sort of base property to turn you into an added value. So if you're thinking about alchemy as the base metal that turns into gold, if you look at a person, you think, okay, they've got properties, they've got values, they've got things that they're good at, and you jack them up to the next level. So you're creating basically into a different, greater value you. And that's what, the superpowers are, what's the kryptonite, what's the dark night, what's your career sculpture. Everything that we go through in the Emporium is almost like giving you a little bit more sprinkle. It's almost a unicorn gone mad, it's sprinkling you with something, and you think, is this magic, or am I going mad? And then you kind of sit there and you think, actually, in business speak, this is your added value. So you're basically turning something that is something that everybody has got, or something that you use but you don't know what to call it, and give it a greater value, and give yourself a greater you to use then in the future.
Oh, I love your language.
I would also say it's challenging, and you have to be prepared to be open, confront part of yourselves that you might not want to have a look at. You think, open doors that you probably shut, bolted, and, sealed with, soldiering. But you just have to be open to kind of see things that you may have wanted to forget and just put somewhere down there in the corner, never to be dusted, never to be open again. Mm-hmm. But it's useful. It is useful. It's stuff that you're carrying around, so you might as well use it. It's baggage that may be open to, interpretation and change. And the other thing is, it's inspiring, because all the people that you meet in there have got different way of seeing things, similar way of seeing things, and you think, oh my God, I'm not alone. I thought I was the mad one. I thought I was the weird one, but actually there's somebody else that has the same sort of issues that I've got. Maybe better, maybe worse, maybe the same, but you're not alone. And it becomes a support group. It becomes somewhere where you can sort of learn off each other and, support each other while you're there. Mm-hmm. And that inspires you, because you kind of see people from different walks of life, different backgrounds, kind of getting together and doing the same thing and going through the same stuff, and possibly the same frustration, and go, I don't get this. I'm sure I don't get this, and I don't know how to get this, but I will try again. And then you talk to each other and you go, yeah, I think we're all in the same boat here.
Lovely. That is absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much, Michaela. It's great to have met you.
You're
and
very welcome.
I really appreciate your time. All right.
You're very welcome.